The Mercedes C-Class has always been one of the top 3 cars that you would pick from if you're shopping for a luxury subcompact car. The other 2 options being the BMW 3 Series or the Audi A4. Now this is the all-new generation, the W206. This is a 2024 Mercedes C43 AMG. And well, in today's video we're going to cover, does this thing have the prowess? Does it have the looks? Does it have the standard to be able to stand on the same mountaintop as the previous generation C-Classes? And heck, even as the new generation 3 Series or 4 or A4? Or has this thing really had a fall from grace? My name is Evo and you're watching God Next. Now the all-new W206 generation of the C-Class was unveiled for 2021, being a 2022 model year. And it is honestly one of the best looking C-Classes, I have to admit that. And you guys know, I'm a Mercedes guy, so there might be a little bit of glazing going on, you know, such as new Drake fans, the way they're glazing his diss track, but nonetheless, it is a really good looking car, especially in this color. This is called Twilight Blue Metallic, and it's got, of course, the full AMG package because it's an AMG car, which that kind of pains me to say because I have 2 other AMGs with the actual V8s and this is not that, but it is a good looking car. You have the awesome Panamericana front grille. This car does have Distronic cruise control right here. You do have a little bit more of an aggressive styling as opposed to the regular C-Class. Of course, you do have these AMG wheels, which are for the standard for the C43. You do have other options too if you're trying to go for that. Looking around the side of the car, you do have, of course, a little bit more of an aggressive side skirt with the C43 AMG package. And then, of course, the badge on the side right here says turbo electrified because, as you guys know, this is a mild hybrid style system, which we'll get to when we look underneath here. Now, it is a really good looking car. I personally feel like the C-Class really peaked in terms of looks with the W205, especially with the C63 Black Series. I love that car. I think the 205 just did it right with the curves and the design and everything. This nonetheless is a really good looking car. But here's the gripe that I have with it. The C-Class no longer offers a coupe. So you can't go buy a coupe version of the AMG car like you could in the previous gen. Now, you can only buy a C-Class as a sedan or in Europe as a wagon and other markets, Asia and whatnot. Here in the States, this is pretty much your only option. And as of right now, the only 2 options you have, if you're buying a C-Class, is a C300 or this, the C43, because, well, we'll talk about the C63 later, but that didn't do too hot. But let's go around the rear and take a look at the rear end styling of this car. Now around the rear, the car still looks very handsome. I mean, it looks really good. Because it's the C43, you do have dual rear black quad tips to signify it's an AMG. Again, not very happy about the fact that they're calling it an AMG, but it does look really good. You of course have, on this specific car, it does have the black optics package, so you have the black rear badges. And of course, this nice little ducktail spoiler. It looks pretty good. I do really like the design of the car, like I said. I have to, you know, I will give it that. It is a really, really good looking car in terms of the exterior looks. But let's go ahead and take a look at that engine because that's where the controversies start. Now, what is underneath the hood of the all-new C43? Well, it's sort of the same engine that they're putting in the C63. This is Mercedes's hybrid 4-cylinder codenamed M139. And this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a 48 kilowatt battery attached to it, which makes about 402 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, those are not horrible numbers. They're decent numbers for a car of this segment. I mean, it's not the full-blown AMG. I guess you could call this an AMG Light. And of course, it is mated to Mercedes's 9-speed MCT transmission. They call it the Speed Shift, which MCT stands for multi-clutch transmission. I don't know why they don't just call it dual clutch, but whatever. But yeah, this is the engine. This is the one that has caused so much controversy amongst the Mercedes people, or just in the car industry in general, because before, when you pop the hood on a C43, you had a twin-turbo V6. You pop the hood on a C63, you had a twin-turbo V8. Now you pop the hood on both of those cars, this is what you see. A turbocharged inline 4 that sounds like this. Yeah, no. It will never sound as good as the M156 6.2 in the old C63 or the M177 in the newer W205 C63. I'm sorry, but Mercedes, what are you doing? Put a V8 back in the C63. Please, for the love of God, just do it, please. Please. Let's just get in the interior and go over this thing. All right, so now we're in the interior of the W206 C43 AMG. And I mean, it's a Mercedes, so it's going to be a nice interior, right? I mean, the design is nice. Of course, the C-Class is always called the baby S-Class because it takes everything the new S-Class has and it absorbs it, as we've seen with the new W223 S580. So, very nice interior. It does have Mercedes' all-new MBUX infotainment system, which I actually really do like. It's very intuitive to where it's pretty quick when you click stuff on it. It does respond very quickly, and it actually has haptic feedback. So on some of it, when you push on it, it will respond back to confirm that you've done that. I do like the interior. I like the way it's designed. It almost feels like a waterfall falling down. I mean, the way it's designed, it just smoothly flows down. Now, the one thing I don't really like is this carbon fiber. It feels really cheap, and that carries over with a lot of the stuff in here. It is a nice interior. There's just some parts of it that Mercedes really cheaped out on. Right here, I mean, you can hear all the squeaking. You can hear, listen. I mean, Mercedes, come on. What are we doing? I mean, this is the AMG. This is the flagship C-Class in the US. And we're doing this? Looking over that kind of stuff. We'll just look over it for now. The design is nice. You do have that nice 12-inch screen in the center, which looks really pretty. And of course, you can actually switch the gauges. I'll show you guys right here. You can switch it. This is classic. You can go to sport and all that. So it makes the gauges look a little bit differently. It just depends on what you're looking for, right? This has just a regular black interior. You do have options such as red and brown. So you can make it look nicer. It's just at the end of the day, there's some materials in here that I am not a big fan. Just to give you guys some context, the two AMGs that I own are a 2004 E55 and a 2008 CL63. So they have really nice materials. They're, you know, there's not a lot of plastic in them. They're Alcantara everywhere, and you know, for the longest time Mercedes was doing Alcantara on all the AMGs. I guess they stopped on these newer ones. I don't know, but the seats are decent. Not the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in. These are heated. They're not cooled, and they're just a little weird. I mean, the headrest is a little bit too plastic. It's a little too flimsy, but they're decently comfortable as an everyday driver. On a long road trip, they might get a little uncomfortable, but whatever. Now, one other gripe that I have is that it's talking back to me, but one other gripe that I have with the car is, of course, pretty much all Mercedes, the way to move the seats is up here. So you have your little driver's thing. Now, my issue with it is these things don't actually move. So, I mean, I feel the seat moving because I'm adjusting it, but the button doesn't move. So it's weird. Like, there's no feedback that I'm actually pushing the button. It just kind of does it. And I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's a little too much of a gimmick that I don't like. And just to close it off there, this car does try to harken back a little bit to, at least in my opinion, to the W202 C-Class, because the way the dash is designed, the W202 has that same like sort of sweep or like a circle up front, except that one has a little bit of wood. This one doesn't. Nonetheless, it's not horrible. Now, let's hop in the back and see how the legroom is, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a C-Class, so it's going to be a little bit smaller. So sitting in the back of the C-Class, it's tight. It just doesn't feel very roomy in here. Again, not supposed to be, because it is a smaller car. At this point, you might as well go buy an E-Class or an S-Class, but I have the seat set up the way I would like it when I'm driving, and yes, I am a little bit taller. I'm 6 feet tall, and I'm a little bit bigger, so maybe if you're, you know, if it's a smaller person driving, it's a little bit better. But then again, headroom, I mean, you guys can see me just sitting. My head is touching the roof. So this panoramic roof up here does give me a little bit of space if I kind of have to sit forward. But overall, there's not much space back here. You do have two vents for the air, and that's it. No chargers, no, actually, that's a lie, I lied. There's two USB-C chargers down here. Of course, you do have these, which you have some cup holders, I think, down here, or something like that. I don't know what that is. That's weird. I mean, oh, never mind. It was just stuck. So yeah, there's some cup holders right here. But yeah, the seats also do go down. So in the trunk, there's a button you can click. The seats will fall down in case you're carrying some skis or whatnot. So yeah, let us know. Let me know down below what you think. I think it's a little bit smaller. So I mean, if you're just buying this as a daily driver, not much of a family car, not bad. Pretty good for yourself. Otherwise, it's all right. All right, setting off in the W206 C43 AMG. How is it so far? Well, I've driven the car, I want to say probably for about 5 miles, maybe a little bit more. And it's about how a C-Class would be. I mean, it's smooth, it's comfortable. Well, not as comfortable as I would like it to be. There are some parts when you go over some bumps, it's kind of stiff, which I don't like. But again, this does have adjustable suspension, so you can adjust that. Now, I'm in comfort mode right now, just cruising. In a second, we will switch over to its full-blown Sport Plus mode, and we'll see how it does. But overall, it's not bad. The transmission, I'm not the biggest fan of. It's a little jerky. It almost acts like BMW's old school SMG transmission. Not as bad, but it's a little jerky when you're taking off at first. It kind of rolls back and takes off, given it is a dual clutch style transmission, or Mercedes calls it multi-clutch. Again, this is an AMG, so it's a little bit more performance oriented, in the fact that it's the only C-Class now, or the only AMG C-Class in the States that's offered new, because the C63, as I mentioned earlier, none of the dealers want the car because they can't sell it. The car in Europe, I'm not joking, sold like 6 cars, I think, last year. 6. Not 600, not 6,000, 6. That's insane. But, I mean, Mercedes did it to themselves with this 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain. Now, speaking of the 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain, let's see how it does. I'm going to switch it over to Sport Plus mode, which kind of raises the RPMs a little bit, and it gives it that, you know, it opens up the baffles in the exhaust. But if we're being honest, it mostly just feeds more sound in the interior. But here we go. I'm going to 1, 2, 3. Not bad. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of that. There's like a delay after the shift. So you guys heard it itself. It goes, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's almost like there's a delay behind it. Now, 402 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It's not slow. It's also not the fastest thing I've ever driven. But it's not bad, right? So you're not buying a full-blown AMG car or the full-blown C63. I mean, I guess you really can't nowadays, but... And the transmission, when you put it in Sport Plus mode, I gotta say, it does become a little bit more aggressive than I'd like. It's a little bit more jerky and, you know, aggressive than before. And it does hold the revs a little bit too high, which, I don't know how I feel about that. Let's go back in sport mode and... Okay. Not bad. I mean, it's kind of, it's a little weird, right? The transmission's a little weird. I mean, Sport Plus mode, it is going to be a little bit jerkier. Now, the great thing about the setup on this car is that you don't have to drive in Sport Plus mode. You can put it in comfort, turn the exhaust baffles on, you know, leave the suspension in comfort, and when you click these little buttons down here on the rotator wheel, you can actually adjust the transmission. You can put it in manual and everything, which I'll do for you guys right now. We'll put it in manual mode, and I'll show you guys how it does, because it's not, I mean, it's not the, again, fastest shifting thing, but it's also not that bad. So downshifting here, it is pretty quick. You do also get a little bit of some pops, a little bit. When you put it in Sport Plus mode, it is a little bit more aggressive in the pops and everything, but I mean, not bad. And that delay, you guys notice that delay from when I clicked it, from when it shifted. It's not as fast as like a Porsche PDK, or honestly even the ZF8 Speed. And I don't like it feeding sound in the interior. The rear speakers are kind of starting to like fizzle a little bit. It's annoying. It really is annoying. So, I mean, it's not bad. Let's kind of see how it does from like a standstill. All right, now I'm not going to launch the car because it's not mine, but we're just going to kind of go, so. Oh, not bad. I got to say, that's not bad. It's kind of jerky, though. Like, it takes off, and then it slows down, takes off again. It's a little weird. I don't really like that, but I mean, it's not bad. It is quick. It's a quick car. It's just, I gotta say, I have really mixed feelings about it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Let's go back to the pad and figure this thing out. Let's kind of discuss it. All right. So, what do I think of the W206 C43 AMG? Well, for it being the highest level C-Class you can buy in the US nowadays, it's pretty good. Now, I do have gripes with the car, as I mentioned. I'm not a big fan of the powertrain. I kind of wish that they stuck with the inline six that they're putting in the 53 cars. The mild hybrid system is decent. I mean, it's pretty quick, even with, you know, you're taking off and picking up speed. It's pretty quick, it's pretty nice. The interior is nice. There's just some bits of it that feel cheap, as I mentioned. And I mean, overall, this car goes for $60,000 MSRP. A BMW M340i, which competes with this car, I think is around 65, and I'd probably go for that. And I know, I'm a Mercedes guy, and I'm saying I'd buy a BMW over this. This just doesn't impress me. That's the thing with this car. It's a good-looking car. It's just, I feel like it's lost its way. It's not the C-Class that it used to be. You know, Mercedes is just, I don't know. They're sticking with one thing they think they're doing good, and clearly not, because as we talked about, the C63 is a failure. I mean, they're not even selling it in the US or Canada. The dealers don't want it because nobody wants the car. That should tell you something, Mercedes. Put a V8 back in that thing. Come on, do us a service. Now, if you're just looking for a nice little performance car, I mean, you know, that's decently quick, that's not horrible or slow, and it has a decent exterior, interior, this might not be a bad car, and these things are gonna fall. I mean, it's a C-Class, it's gonna fall in price. So wait a couple years and you'll probably pick these up for like high 30s, 40s. So let me know down below what you think of the car. Am I just crazy for saying this, or am I right? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.